Hello everyone, this is Nitpicking Nerd, and this is my review of the last episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it could take me many long hours to just point out all the illogical, stupid things across this whole show. And I think in the last episode the only good thing was the actual duel between Obi-Wan and Kenobi, which also had a bunch of problems, but it did have a few good moments, such as when Kenobi sliced a piece of Vader's mask off, and the cut of the lightsaber seems to be in the same place as Vader's scar, which was never previously explained. We never knew how he got that scar, so at least it answers something, at least it ties something together, so that's good attention to detail. Maybe it was a complete coincidence. But either way, it finally explains something that we haven't seen previously, and also seeing Anakin's face in the Vader mask was kind of cool, and hearing his voice intermixed with the James Earl Jones voice together with Anakin's voice, because his voice synthesizer is malfunctioning, that was a cool moment, and it also helps us mentally connect these characters together, because, the way he transformed into Vader in the end of Revenge of the Sith was kind of abrupt, and he suddenly became a totally different kind of character, and so seeing something in between helps bridge all of that. And even the lighting in the scene, it seems as if when he was with the blue color, he momentarily Anakin again, and then when it became red, suddenly he's evil again. So there were a few good moments which were well done, and even some of the dialogue when he says that you didn't kill Anakin, I did, that fits with what Obi-Wan later tells Luke, that Vader killed Anakin and so on, but that also begs the question, why didn't Obi-Wan simply kill Vader off in this moment? If he really believes that his friend is truly gone, then why does he leave this Vader alive? That's something which is extremely annoying and illogical. This should have ended with Vader running away from Obi-Wan because he was beaten up by him, and also that would fit the dialogue in A New Hope when he said, when I left you, I was but the learner. That will make sense if he escaped from him because he was still weaker than him, and so in the next appearance he will say, back then I was still the learner, that's why I ran away, and now I'm the master, so now I will beat you up. So that would have made much more sense, and also just the fact that Obi-Wan witnessed personally how Vader kills innocent people and all of that, and yet he chooses to let him live in the end, even after acknowledging that it's no longer Anakin, so that made no sense. And another huge missed opportunity is that across this whole series there was no real moment when Obi-Wan pondered the possibility that it would be possible to convert Anakin back to the good side, as Luke did in Return of the Jedi. There was no moment trying to get him to come back to the good side or to surrender or something. There was no moment like that at all, and that doesn't fit the dialogue that we heard in Return of the Jedi when Vader told Luke, Obi-Wan once thought as you do. So that implies that at some point in the past, Obi-Wan also tried to appeal to Vader and to get him to come back to becoming Anakin again, and yet we don't really see it, maybe except that part when the mask was off and Obi-Wan was kind of apologizing to Anakin about everything, so that was the closest thing to it, but still there was no moment, there was no dialogue in which Obi-Wan says that maybe there is some good in you, maybe you can do the right thing or something, nothing like that at all, so that was probably the biggest missed opportunity. And also it doesn't tie with the ending, because why would he let Vader live in the end if he doesn't think he can come back to the good side? So the only way that it would have made sense is if he did think that it is possible. And maybe what they should have done is have the ghost of Qui-Gon appear, not in the very end when it was meaningless and pointless, but maybe he should have heard his voice in that scene when he was stuck under the rocks, and instead of seeing those flashbacks which somehow gave him strength, maybe instead it should have been Qui-Gon appearing to him in that moment, and that what would have helped him out. And also have Qui-Gon tell Obi-Wan to spare Anakin, to leave Vader alive, because as a Force ghost, maybe he sees the future, he knows what's going to happen, and so maybe Qui-Gon should have told Obi-Wan not to kill Anakin at that moment, and then it will make some kind of sense, that maybe even if Obi-Wan himself doesn't understand it, he simply trusts his old master that knows the future, and so maybe that's why he would have left him live, and so that would have been a much better and more satisfying ending. And also seeing Qui-Gon in the very end when it was totally pointless and meaningless, and he had no clever dialogue of any kind, he didn't really affect the story in any way, so it was totally pointless. If he actually contributed something to the story, that would have made his reappearance much more meaningful than just a pointless cameo in the end in which he just appears to say hi and doesn't contribute anything to the plot. And so that was another missed opportunity, the same as the cameo by the Emperor who talks with Vader in the end. He just appears as a hologram to say hi basically, and that's it. He had no clever dialogue, it wasn't tied to the story in any way. So all these cameos just feel like member bearers. It's just these characters popping up to say hi, but not being involved in the actual story in any way, without any clever dialogue, without adding any new idea or anything. So it ultimately felt kind of pointless. And the dialogue by the Emperor also doesn't really make any sense because, Darth Vader is really angry that Obi-Wan ran away again. And he says, I will do everything to catch him. And then Sidious tells him, you seem agitated. Vader should have responded with, you think? Why shouldn't he be agitated? Isn't the dark side all about anger and hatred and all of that? So what's so bad about being agitated? And the Emperor basically implies to him that he should let go of Kenobi. He shouldn't worry about him anymore, and that doesn't really make sense. Shouldn't the priority of the Emperor be to hunt down every last Jedi, especially a master like Obi-Wan? So shouldn't he encourage Vader to chase him down and finish him? Why does he tell him not to worry about him, basically? So a lot of things like that don't make any sense, and all these pointless cameos just feel like member berries without a purpose to them, and so that's annoying. I think they should have done a lot more with that, especially with Qui-Gon, who just shows up in the end to say hi when it doesn't really matter anymore. Where was he when he was really needed? He should have appeared in the scene when Obi-Wan was buried under the rocks, when Vader was walking away for some reason, which also was stupid. Why doesn't Vader make sure Obi-Wan is dead before just walking away? Why is everyone in the show so stupid? And then Obi-Wan has a flashback of all the times he was with Leia, and that's what gives him the energy. It should have been Qui-Gon appearing in that scene, at least as a voice to talk with him, and that would have helped him escape. And then when fighting Vader, maybe Qui-Gon's ghost should have said, you should spare him, trust me, I know the future, or something like that. Some kind of clue like that would have explained that decision, despite the fact that Obi-Wan thinks that his friend is truly gone, and despite seeing everything that Vader does to other people across the whole show. The only way they could have explained why he lets him leave is if Qui-Gon's ghost told him to, or if he actually thought that there is still some good in him. Otherwise, what we see doesn't make any sense, and so that's annoying. And really, Vader should have been the one to escape, and that would tie with the dialogue that he told him in A New Hope, that when I left you, I was the learner, because he got his ass kicked by him, and so that would have made some kind of sense with the dialogue at least. And another big missed opportunity in the duel, I think what they should have done is to show them using their force powers against each other to slow each other down with their actual lightsaber. We did have a few moments when Vader uses the force to kind of block the lightsaber with the force instead of his own lightsaber, and so what I think they should have done is make it clear that they are able to use the force on each other to slow each other down without even using their hands to do it. You can start with showing the hands, but then later show it without the hands and just show them moving like in slow motion while concentrating against each other, and that will make it obvious that they can use the force to slow each other down, and that could perfectly explain why the duel we saw in A New Hope seemed kind of slow from the side. Maybe it's because they were both using the force against each other to slow the other one down, and that's why they seem to be moving so slowly with their lightsaber in that movie. So they could have done something at least to imply that that was the reason, and so that could have been so perfect, and yet they didn't really do that either. And the most annoying thing in the duel is how it kept cutting to Riva's story on Tatooine, which was annoying and stupid, and it kept distracting from the big event, which was the only fun thing in the show, which was the duel with Obi-Wan and Vader, and they kept cutting to Riva's story, so that was extremely annoying, because nothing about it makes any sense. How she survived the lightsaber stab, how did she even get to Tatooine, and the fact that she got the information about Luke from Bail Organa, who stupidly made a transmission to Obi-Wan without confirming Obi-Wan is listening, and so anyone could have heard it. If Obi-Wan was indeed captured by Vader, then Vader would have heard that, and so Bail Organa basically betrayed Luke in that scene when he's transmitting the message to Obi-Wan. That's something I had a very long rant about in my previous review of this show, of how stupid all of that was, and all of that so that Riva can hear the message, and then she goes to Tatooine and finds Luke and wants to kill him for some reason, I guess to get back at Vader, even though Vader doesn't know about Luke at this point, and she knows that from that message, and yet she does it anyway, so what's the point of that? How will it hurt Vader when he doesn't even know about any of this? So all of this was completely illogical and pointless and badly done, and Luke is not supposed to ever have seen a lightsaber until Obi-Wan gives him one, and so how come he saw a woman with a red one chasing him around when he was a kid? Maybe that's why they had him get hit on the head and lose consciousness, because he's not supposed to know anything like that. And then she wants to kill him, and then in the last moment she redeems herself. She becomes good again by herself. She convinces herself to become good again because she's so awesome and so good, and she doesn't need any man to explain to her why it's so bad to be evil. She explains it to herself. She doesn't need any mansplaining to turn her back to the good side. And suddenly all is forgiven, and later when Obi-Wan meets her, he simply lets her go, even though she knows everything about Luke, even though she might be captured by the Empire and reveal all these secrets later. No one seems to care. Just because she did one good deed by not doing an evil deed for once, suddenly all her previous evil deeds are completely forgiven, and Obi-Wan lets her go to have her own spin-off show or something, which is a terrible idea because she was one of the worst things in this whole show, because her character was so obnoxious and self-contradictory and illogical, especially how she's so lucky that she just happens to find all the information she needs for the plot. It's not because she's so clever, but it's because she happens to be so lucky. So it's the same kind of problem as all the badly written Mary Sue characters, that they are not written as a clever character, but just as a lucky character. And so that's annoying. That's an annoying way to write a character, and especially when they humiliate other character to make this character look so awesome. And you know, she even outsmarts Darth Vader and gives Darth Vader his best idea, like the idea to track a prisoner which he allows to escape with a tracker to find the rebel base in A New Hope. That idea came from Riva because she's more clever than him. He took that idea from her. And so things like that, humiliating one character to make another one look more clever in comparison, that's an annoying way to write a character. Instead of writing something new and have a character who is actually clever, instead you steal ideas from the previous movies and twist it all around as if that idea came from this new character that they pushed in between all of this. And so Riva was definitely the worst part of the whole show, and I think we can actually fix this show if we do a fan edit and turn the show into a short movie and simply remove all the annoying and stupid things completely, or reduce them to a minimum. Then maybe we can have a decent short movie that will be a fine addition to the Star Wars collection. But that's the only way I can ever rewatch this show again, as a fan edit, which will cut away all the annoying silly things out. So that's my overall thoughts about this whole show, that it did have a few good moments, but overall it was stupid and pointless with so many missed opportunities, so much missed potential, and the only way to salvage something good out of it is with a fan edit that will keep all the good bits and remove everything else as much as possible. So that's my opinion. Let me know what you think, and we can discuss all of this in the comments below, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.